My name is Steve from Flipping the Nerd, and this is the top 10 nicest celebrities that I've met. I'm a big autograph collector. It's one of the things that I like to collect the most, and to get those autographs I have to go to cons, which means I meet a lot of celebrities. Now, of course, I pay to meet these celebrities, and you would think that they're always on their best behavior because they are there to meet people, but that's not the case. However, I don't want to focus on the bad, Lou Ferrigno, but I do want to focus on really the coolest people I've met, and I've met probably 200 at this point, so I've met a lot of them, but I want to highlight my top 10 plus 5 honorable mentions because I like to, I didn't want to leave these people out because they were really cool, they just didn't hit the top 10. So let's go with the honorable mentions first. The first one is Kevin Eastman. He's the co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. One thing I've never seen at a con until I met him last summer was he didn't charge for his autograph. Now, he co-created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That was a huge part of my childhood. And according to him, he said, well, I'm not going to charge for an autograph because you guys have been paying me essentially for years by supporting my product and supporting the Ninja Turtles, so the first one's on me. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I mean, he had a huge line, and I was in line. I didn't know he didn't charge. I was ready to pay 50, $70 for his autograph, but he didn't charge at all, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And he was a really, really genuinely nice guy, and a guy that really, appreciated the people that were there. So definitely have to give a shout out to Kevin Eastman. The second one is Brent Spiner. He's known particularly for playing Data in Star Trek The Next Generation. Really funny guy, really sarcastic. He actually, so I was with my brother-in-law, and I don't remember how it came up, but my brother-in-law, I think, mentioned some web show that he said. Brent Spiner looked at him right in the eye and said, "Do you promise that you're going to watch that show?" And my brother-in-law is like, "Yeah." And he pulls like this card under the table and he gives it to him, and it's a card that says, "I promise Brent Spiner to watch this web show." I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Super nice guy. Definitely had to mention him as well. Then we have Robert Englund, of course, Freddy Krueger. Very, very cool guy. Posed no problem. A lot of people, they don't want their pictures taken at the table. No problem with him. Very nice, very articulate. Didn't get to speak to him much because he had a huge line, of course. I mean, he's Freddy Krueger, so it makes sense. But he was very nice for a guy who gets so much attention at these cons. I was surprised to see that. Then we have Tony Todd. Tony Todd could have been on the top 10, but he came late, which I really don't like at these cons. So I deducted some points off that, but he was a very genuinely nice guy. I was wearing a Stan Lee t-shirt when I met him, and Stan Lee's wife had just passed away, and we had a little conversation about that. Yeah, very nice guy. I was happy that he could. Of course, he's Candyman, but for me, it was more about him being in the remake of the Night of the Living Dead, the Tom Savini remake. He played Ben, and that was, it was just so cool. It was just so cool to meet Tony Todd. And finally, it was Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira. I was happy that she was super nice because it was the first time I brought my wife to a con, and she had she had never met a celebrity in her life. And the first celebrity that she ever met was a complete dick, Lou Ferrigno. And I thought that was really sucked because I'd had such great interactions with celebrities. Well, the second celebrity she met was Cassandra Peterson, and she was sweet as hell. Super nice. Elvira, mad respect for her, so I was happy that she was nice. And those are my honorable mentions. So let's get into my top 10. Number 10. Lou Temple. Lou Temple's been in a bunch of stuff. I don't really remember some of the movies he was in, but I was there to get my Walking Dead poster signed because he played Axel on The Walking Dead in season 3. I mean, it's not someone I was like really itching to meet. It's just because he was in The Walking Dead. I have a Walking Dead poster, so I got him to sign it. But he was so nice. He talked to me for a while. My wife was in line to meet Norman Reedus, so she couldn't come with me, and he's like, "Oh, bring her over to the table after you're done because I'd really like to meet her." I'm like, "Okay." So we met Norman Reedus, and then we get into Lou Temple, and he's just so nice with her and so nice with me, and just a really, really genuinely nice guy. And I was very happy about it, and I'm now really glad that I got his autograph on that poster because he really made a great memory for that. So, Lou Temple, awesome. Number 9, Denise Crosby. Denise Crosby is known, I believe, more for Star Trek: The Next Generation. She played someone on that show. I didn't watch much Star Trek, so. But I, again, got her because she was on The Walking Dead. She played Barbecue Mary for like 2 episodes, but I didn't know that at the time. When I got her autograph, she had appeared at the end of the season finale. Then I got her autograph thinking she would be a major player going forward, and she like dies in the first episode after, but whatever. Denise Crosby was super nice. She was telling me stories about the set of The Walking Dead, particularly how Rick Grimes, which is, oh my god, his name escapes me right now, how nice he was and how incredible that set was, and she told some great stories, and I was happy to meet her, and she was really cool, so definitely deserved a spot in my top 10. Number 8, George A. Romero. I am a mega George A. Romero fan, and they say don't meet your heroes. I met mine, and he was fantastic. I remember I like bolted for his table when the con opened because I thought that that would probably be one of the biggest lines that there would be. And I'm not even kidding you, there was nobody there. Nobody. And I got a good solid 15 to 20 minutes talking to George A. Romero, and he was so cool. We laughed. I asked him all bunch of questions about Dawn of the Dead, which is my favorite horror film of all time. I got to ask him questions about the Night of the Living Dead remake, what he was doing next, Land of the Dead. It was just such a great, insightful conversation that I had with him. He was mega cool. He told some great stories, and I was just in awe of the fact that I was standing there speaking to George A. Romero. I mean, it's crazy. And shame on the people at that con for not going to meet George A. Romero when he was right there. I mean, I saw a bunch of people that really didn't deserve a line. He had tons of people, and he had nobody. It was just so sad. But George A. Romero definitely deserved a spot on this list. Number 7, Norman Reedus. You're going to feel like there's a lot of Walking Dead people. I promise you there's only one more on this list after this. They're just really cool people. What do you want me to say? Norman Reedus was surprisingly really awesome. I thought like his line was huge. I mean, this guy is super, super popular. He can't give you the time of day because if he did, then that line would never move. But he took the time, and I watched him in a while. I think I waited an hour and a half in line. He took the time to shake every single guy's hand, and every guys and girls' hand, and asked for their name, and he introduced himself to everybody, and he was just the coolest guy. Just really, really awesome. A lot like his character on The Walking Dead, just like calm and quiet, and just awesome. Awesome guy. And I was surprised, and I was really happy to see that. So definitely Norman Reedus deserves a spot in this list. Number 6, Josh Mcdermitt, my last Walking Dead person on this list. He plays Eugene on The Walking Dead. Again, I go to these cons a lot, and one thing that I haven't really seen much, I've seen a little bit, but not much, is the way it works is people are behind a table, there's a handler next to them, you pay the handler, and then you get your autograph from the celebrity. Well, he refused to do that. He stands in front of the table so he can have a really good one-on-one with the person that comes to his table. And I was with one of my friends. There was no one else in line, so we got a good 10 minutes with him. Really chill guy. Unlike George A. Romero, where I was kind of really awkward because I was very cognizant that I was speaking to George Romero, Josh Mcdermitt felt like he was just a friend of mine, and we were just having a cool conversation about The Walking Dead, about what he was doing, about hot air balloons. He used to own one, which was crazy. About his time on the Talk is Jericho podcast. Anyway, a bunch of subjects. Really cool guy. I felt like he was just a friend, which is, I mean, all you can ask for in these interactions. Awesome guy. Definitely had to mention him. And I promise you the last from The Walking Dead, at least for this list. So, Josh Mcdermitt deserves a spot on the list. Number 5, Triple H. I am a huge wrestling fan. I don't watch it so much these days, but I was especially a huge wrestling fan in the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know, I'd say all the 90s and the early 2000s. I met Triple H at they were doing a softball tournament, and he was just about to go into D-Generation X. He wasn't quite there yet. He was kind of this weird like middle phase between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and D-Generation X, and he was just such a nice guy. Really took the time. I mean, I was a kid when I met him. We're talking like 97, so I was 15. And he took the time to talk to me. He respected me. He didn't talk down to me. He was just a really, really nice guy. I appreciated everything he did for me. Now he's a huge star. I don't know if he's changed. I heard that he hasn't. I heard he's still really cool. So that's awesome to hear. I mean, he does have, some people have issues with him. I think he kind of has to because of his position in the WWE. But when I met him, really, really cool guy, and I have to give him a shout out. So Triple H deserved a spot on this list. Number 4, Sean Astin, known for playing Samwise Gamgee on Lord of the Rings. He was in The Goonies, he was in Encino Man, recently was in Stranger Things. Sean Astin was really, really awesome. When I got to his table, he asked me, because I signed everything to me and my wife, so all the autographs I get, and he's like, well, where's, your wife? I'm like, oh, she couldn't make it, whatever reason it was. And we started talking about marriage, and he missed his wife because she couldn't be there, and it was this whole thing. Then he started talking about his parents. His parents played, or his dad, or his mom, I think his dad played Gomez on the original Addams Family or something like that. It was just a really good conversation. Very, very genuinely nice guy. I've seen him at a lot of cons since then. Not always. I've only gotten his autograph once, so I've met him once. But I've been to the table next to him, and he's always cool. He's always cool. When he gets there, he says hello to everybody. He appreciates people being there. Really, one of the nicest people that I've met in the con world. So, huge shout out, Sean Astin. Awesome. Number 3, Joni Laurer, aka Chyna. So at the same time I met Triple H, I also met Chyna. They were together at the time. She had just started in the WWF at the time, now WWE. So I went to the event the night before and booed the hell out of her. I really didn't like her. I mean, terrible. I booed her, and I probably said some awful things to her. And I'll never forget that I was really close to where the entrance was, so she looked right at me in the eyes as I said something really nasty and kind of just shook her head and then moved on. And I felt so bad because she's so friggin' nice in real life. And nobody was at her table. No one wanted Chyna's autograph. I mean, she was a nobody at the time, not knowing that she'd be one of the biggest female wrestlers of all time in terms of accomplishments. And so I figured, why not? I like wrestling. I might as well get her autograph. She was the best, man. Just so down to earth, really sweet. We talked for a while, and as a 15-year-old kid who loved wrestling, that meant a lot to me. It was everything I wished it could be, and I was a fan of her ever since. I read her book. I watched most of the stuff that she did. I say most because she went into some questionable movies after that. But yeah, Chyna, have to give her a spot on the list. She was absolutely fantastic. Number 2, George Takei, also known as Sulu from Star Trek. I mean, a lot of Star Trek people for a guy who's not a fan of Star Trek, right? George Takei, iconic character, very, very prolific on Twitter right now. He was just, again, super nice, very sweet. We talked about The Apprentice. He had just been on The Apprentice at the time, and I asked him about Donald Trump. That was pre-presidency, and it was just a great conversation. We were talking about, so I met him in Ottawa, and I met him in Montreal, but his cousin lives in Ottawa, and I live in Ottawa, but I was in Montreal, and we had a whole conversation about the cities. Just the nicest guy, and honestly was my number 1 for a long time until I met just recently the new number 1. But George Takei, sweet as hell. His husband was also really nice. He was kind of handling the crowd as George was signing autographs, and both of them are really cool. So mad respect to both of them. George Takei was my number 1 and is now my number 2. But let's see who goes first. Number 1, Doug Jones. Doug Jones is known for being in Hellboy. He's known for being in Hocus Pocus. He's known for being in The Shape of Water. More recently, he was Silver Surfer in the Fantastic Four. which I hated that movie, but Silver Surfer looked pretty cool. Doug Jones is the nicest guy in the world, maybe. Forget celebrities, he's just the nicest guy in the world. He really, really, really takes the time to talk to you, to answer your questions, and he does it in such a nice, calm, cool manner. My wife was with me, and she was just enamored by how nice this guy was. She's a huge fan of his because he was Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus. I could not recommend meeting Doug Jones more. In fact, and this is a little tidbit, I asked him about Silver Surfer, and he told me that they had cast a Silver Surfer for an appearance in the Avengers movie. So, hey, that's a kind of big a spoiler if that's true. So, and if that's true, that's awesome, because Galactus is my favorite character, and he is my favorite villain in Marvel, so that would be awesome. But anyway, Doug Jones, I cannot say enough good things about him. I got some good time with him. Sweet, nice, awesome, the best. So that's my list. Let me know what celebrities you've met. Which ones were cool? You can tell me which ones were not. Lou Ferrigno. And I'd love to hear about it. Next week, it's going to be the top 10 favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films. I'm a big fan of his, and I hope you get to watch it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you all on